wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up.
Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados, good morning.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Morning to you.
Good morning to you on this Monday, November 25th, 2024. I'm Tisha Hines. I'll be here with you until 8 o'clock this morning. God bless BIM on this final approach to our 58th Independence 2024. And of course, the third year recognizing Barbados as a republic as well. I certainly hope you had a great weekend and you're ready and roaring to go for what the week has in store for us. We will try to share with you everything in as much as we can that's coming up here in Barbados and across the world. I know we have lots of people who tune in from across the diaspora on socials as well. So it's wonderful indeed to have you with us. We're going to have a grand show today, but before we move on, we have to say a very special good morning to our neighbors down south. A special good morning to everyone in Suriname. We know that we've been creating quite a few linkages with them, especially through their independence as well, through their airline as well. So it was on this day back in 1975 that Suriname became independent following negotiations with the Dutch government. Suriname continues to maintain close diplomatic, economic, and cultural ties with the Netherlands, and they're now a part of CARICOM. So happy independence to everyone from Suriname. Also, every 10 minutes, partners and family members are killed, women specifically, intentionally in 2023. The crisis of gender-based violence is urgent. And that's why during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, the Unite campaign is drawing attention to the alarming escalation of violence against women under the theme, every 10 minutes, a woman is killed. Hashtag no excuse. Unite to end violence against women. It runs from November 25th, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. That's today until the 10th of December, which is Human Rights Day. So violence against women happens in every country and culture, causing harm to millions of women and girls. Risks and challenges to access care increase even more for women and girls living in humanitarian emergencies. And ironically, we're going to be looking at something very important, which has to do with a humanitarian emergency, as we acknowledge today as we have the Caribbean Against Apartheid in Palestine. That group will be in to talk to us about a very, very interesting observance that's coming up on the 29th. That's the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, a UN organized observance. So we'll be chatting to you about that. Also, we're going to be featuring some of the students of the St. Leonard's Boys School, along with one of their teachers who is teaching in an interesting way, and he is really engaging and encouraging the children to do better. We're going to get a chance to speak with Mr. Andrew Loki and a few of his students as well on today's show. So all that and a whole lot more is coming up. But we wanted to start by talking with a young student from the Norman Manley Law School who is joining us online. His name is Timothy Roper. And he's an attorney in training. And, you know, we love to feature young people, and particularly those ones who are on a great trajectory, who are doing wonderful things across their community. So it's wonderful to have you joining us this morning. Timothy, is it a customary for you to get up this early, or is this just for us?
Yeah, I do typically get up early. I am currently on the morning shift at the Norman Manley Law School. So because of that, I have class at 8 o'clock every single day. And in Jamaica, just like in BIM, the morning traffic, especially with this back to school rush, is horrendous. So I get up at 5 to try to leave at 6. And I get to school at about maybe 6:20, 6:25 without traffic, with traffic, I would tend to get to school by like 7:30. So yeah, this is on brand for me, and we're all behind in Jamaica, so it's currently 5 o'clock, but I would typically be getting up at this time. So you're on track.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, good morning to you. Great to have you joining us online for this special occasion. We always love to speak with young people, as I said. So, let's talk about what inspired your passion for law and why you selected law as the profession you want to pursue.
Okay, well, it's a lot of factors. When I was much younger, I was very inquisitive, and people always say if you're inquisitive, then you should automatically become a lawyer. So that was one reason. My mom is also a lawyer. She studied at Kville, and I kind of wanted to follow in her footsteps. So she kind of served as a really strong inspiration for me. So that was another factor. I was also very involved in student council back when I was in high school. I attended the Arden High School in Jamaica, and I became the student council's second vice president. And it was just amazing actually representing the students, hearing what they had to say, relaying those thoughts and concerns. So that was the third factor. And the final factor would definitely have to be I chose Cape Law in sixth form, and I fell in love with Cape Law. At first, I was considering even going to civil engineering because my dad is also a civil engineer. But then, as soon as I did my CSEC math examination, I was like, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with math. So math was out of the picture. And then when I chose Cape Law, I had an amazing Cape Law teacher, and I just fell in love with the law at that point.
Oh, that's beautiful. You've already selected the area of law that you'd like to go into as well. So, tell us more about what kind of guided you in that direction.
Okay, well, right now, at Norman Law School is kind of all encompassing. So they teach us a little bit of everything that we would need to know if we choose to go into a particular niched area of law. I particularly like public law, anything to do with public law or administrative law. I love public policy, and I also have a very strong interest in legislative drafting. So I think I definitely want to go into drafting. But I've been kind of dabbling a bit in employment law because that's my mom's area of specialization. So I do love public law and anything that deals with legislative drafting, administrative law. But I also do have an interest in employment law as well, which is what my mom focuses on.
Now, Timothy, you've also had an opportunity to intern with some pretty big organizations for a law student. Has that made a big difference in your approach to your studies?
I definitely would say so. So I interned at Jamaica's Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. That would have been last year. It was an amazing experience. I was able to attend some of our Constitution Reform Committee because Jamaica, much like Barbados, is about to celebrate their republic, their third anniversary of becoming a republic. Jamaica is currently on the trajectory to become a republic. So I was able to attend some of those meetings. I also focused on key legislative reform, and I was able to meet with our Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, so that was good. And I also worked at the law firm in Jamaica, Livingston, Alexander and Levy. It is located in downtown Jamaica, and it is the first accredited law firm in Jamaica. So it was good working there. I worked a lot on private matters, contract matters, tort-based matters, and it was good to actually work under some of those lawyers because they have a lot of experience. So I did get a kind of, a lot of experience focusing on public law when I was working with the ministry, but definitely also got some expertise with regard to the private law aspect, taking clients to court, and also was able to go to the court on a few occasions as well, and that was very interesting.
I know there's much talk about students coming out. There's a lot of talk around Gen Zers and how different Gen Zers are from other generations. However, I think if it's one thing that we all agree on is that even just coming out of school, you need some experience. And it kind of comes down to a quandary of what comes first. We know how that goes. So you're in school, but how do you get this requisite experience that a lot of people are asking for? Or how are you able to get, play roles in leadership? You've been able to kind of command this while you were here at Kville. You were president of the UE Law, the Law Society at UE Kville, and you were also a part of the Guild Constitutional Committee. You were chairperson of that committee. How has all of that helped to shape who you are and the type of lawyer that you want to be?
Boy, that's a very loaded question. At first, when I came to Kville, I was like, I'm absolutely not going to do anything student leadership wise. But I guess I was bitten by the proverbial bug. I loved when I was president of the Law Society, being able to represent my peers, listen to what they had to say, and I would say the thing that I gained from that the most was probably time management, because you're kind of having to balance your schoolwork while at the same time also listening to what the students want. Because I'll give you an example. This one time I had two assignments, two mid semesters back to back, and we were having an issue in our faculty, and I had to be juggling between trying to finish the assignment, liaising with the students, liaising with my dean, liaising with the campus deputy principal to try and get the issue resolved. So I would say time management definitely was a factor in that regard, but it also showed me a lot of compassion, because when you're in leadership, it also teaches you how to actually listen to what people are saying instead of just trying to act. So you may have in your head a particular idea of how you think the issue might need to be resolved, but what the person wants you to fix is not what you have in your head. So it takes a lot to properly communicate, and I think that's definitely important in my prospective profession. I'm going to be interacting with several clients, so I can't just be thinking about what I want. I have to be listening to what the client has to say. So I got a lot of expertise there when I was president of the Law Society. Being the chairperson of the Constitution Committee for our guild, that was also a very interesting process. I was able to work closely with admin because we reformed the guild's constitution completely, with regard to how different student bodies are governed within UEKville, and that was definitely a strong experience as well. I was able to work very closely with a very good colleague of mine, and I think you guys should know him by now, Mr. Khalil Kothdewala. He was always there helping me out, especially I was able to use his knowledge from his work on Barbados' Constitution Reform Committee, and it definitely showed me a lot as to how we can structure how we govern things. Because I mean, it's so far good in practice, but you have to lay a framework and a foundation, and that's the job of a lawyer. And it definitely gave me a lot of expertise in that regard. And I was able to work with also different persons across the Caribbean. So we kind of tried to amend our constitution in conjunction with persons from the St. Augustine campus, the Mona campus, the Five Islands campus, and the Global campus. That was also very good. So I would say leadership taught me a lot. Time management. It also prepared me how to be a lawyer, especially with document preparation when I was redrafting that constitution. It was a very harrowing process, but I was amazed by it. And also communication skills, being relatable, having to listen to persons. Definitely would recommend, even though it was stress, definitely a lot of stress. It gave me a lot of experiences that I'll hold in my heart forever.
Oh, that's good stuff. I'm happy to hear about those wonderful experiences here in Barbados as we continue to grow global citizens. And speaking of that, how do you feel this technological age has kind of changed your approach, your views, the way it is taught? And I'm talking about the legal field, because it's one of these age-old professions. And here we are in a situation where you can go online and draft a will and draft all types of legislation or ask all types of questions, and there's constantly there are new apps coming online to be able to help people legally and so on. So how do you feel like this will complement, change, upgrade law generally, and the approach to law for people like yourself?
Well, it's funny that you actually asked that. So I am currently working part-time at Employment Matters Caribbean, and I was tasked recently to draft a legal opinion on basically the rules that govern laws with regard to advertising. So in Jamaica, I haven't checked Barbados' legislative framework, but we kind of have these canons. They are basically secondary legislation that focus on how lawyers are supposed to conduct themselves. I'm actually going to learn about it in law school in my second year. But one of the canons basically speaks about advertising, how a lawyer brings across himself. And one other thing that has been very important and interesting lately is the role of generative AI. So, ChatGPT is there, and you can automatically rely on it. You can use it to put yourself out there to advertise. You can also rely on it to draft documents, claims. But in as much as it is something that is helpful, it can also be slightly detrimental, because I find that using AI to supplement our jobs, as not for me a potential lawyer, but persons who are already in the profession, it's definitely a great tool. It can be a great assistance, but we can't just be relying on technology so much so to the point that it's almost like it's overarching. It's taking over everything that we need to rely on and we need to execute. So I think technology has come a far way, and it definitely is important. And I don't think it will take away from the role that a lawyer has to do. And I think that's also the beauty of law, because having someone being able to draft their will without coming to a lawyer first, that's good, because you're getting a little of independence. And of course, once you do draft the will, it would be good to take it to a lawyer, especially one who focuses in estates and probate, so they can actually know maybe what you're doing, what you did is right, what you did is wrong, and that can also, you can be invested in what you're trying to do. But in as much as technology and AI is there to assist us, I think it should be something to supplement our knowledge that we already have. Because ultimate reliance on AI, it can become very, very scary. When I was actually abroad recently, I heard wind that there was an American lawyer who used AI to basically draft some court documents, and the AI invented a case, basically an entirely new case, and he couldn't cite the case because the case wasn't reported in any law journals. So you can't just be ultimately reliant on it, and I think that's what is a valid concern, not even a valid concern for any profession. But law is just so nuanced. You can't just put into AI, draft this without having a second set of hands. Maybe in the future, AI will become so much more, important and so much more precise that it may take away from, I think, roles of like a paralegal. But right now, I think the lawyer's place in the world of work is secure. And as long as we use AI and technology a supplementary basis, I think we should be okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But what we know about AI is in its very preliminary, or what they call the infancy stage. So we have lots to look forward to. And I certainly know
Definitely.
that as a baby born in this age, you guys are all in when it comes to technology. So I'm really interested in seeing how professions, but specifically the legal profession, will kind of pivot to be able to, stay on top of things when it comes to that. And that particular case that you talked about is specifically why we have to remind people of the importance of still going to the source, because we still have a lot of AI models, large language models, that are doing what they're calling data scraping and stuff like that. So
Yes.
they're still not necessarily based in fact. So that's very, very important to note. Now, for other students who are looking on, you're a few years in. I think you're closer to actually becoming a lawyer at this stage than starting out as a student. So we know that we have a whole new set of students getting ready to do those CAPE exams that you referred to, and maybe a few others looking for professions, some who might be thinking just like you, teetering on two different professions. You said you were thinking of whether civil engineering or or being a lawyer based on your parents' professions. What would you share with young students who are looking on, and they might be thinking, is a job as a lawyer right for me?
Okay. This probably might be my longest answer. I think the best thing to always do is to focus on what you love, because when you are simply spurred on, or you're inspired by, I guess, let's say someone who is encouraging you to do something, if you don't love what you're doing, then it's not going to be worth it. I grew to love the law, especially with regard to public policy, because I do love keeping up with politics. I hate the idea of being a politician, but law is the kind of like that middle ground, because you can understand what's going on. So when I understood what I appreciated and what I loved, it just came so naturally to me. So I would say, even though you may have, let's say, for example, someone who is trying to get you to go into a particular profession, I don't think you can. If that's something that you really want to do, then yeah, you should definitely go ahead and do it. But if it's not something that you're 100% in love with, or it's something that you're not even considering, then I think you should put it to God. You should pray. You should consult with persons who are in that area or that profession that you might be wanting to go into, and ask yourself, okay, if it's something I see myself doing in 10 years. And even if you don't see yourself doing it in 10 years, it's also very good to actually get a better understanding of it, because life is very dynamic. It's not static. Things can change. Things can become very different from what you would have thought you would have wanted to be. So find something that you could see yourself being comfortable in, and you could pursue a master's. So especially when it comes to Cape. I have a friend, she studied biology, chemistry, physics. And then when it came to get to university, she studied law. And I think she told me she studied law because when she was watching Suits, she just fell in love with how those characters were interacting with it. And, she said, you know what? This is what I want to go into. I'm going to pursue law. And she was able to do it. She put it to God. And, the rest is history. She's in law school with me right now. Her name is Dana. So big up Dana one time. But yeah, I'm just very proud of the fact that we have this thing in life, especially in the Caribbean, freedom of choice, especially when it comes to something that we're interested in. So even if it's something that may be hard, I would say put it to God, converse with persons who are in your field or in that perspective field or that area, see if it's something you could even want to be interested in. And even if it's something that you're not sure you're interested in, keep on keeping on. Don't just give up. You can find a way to get out of it, and you can find a way to become more versed into another area of law or another area of practice that you may not have seen yourself being focused on. So yeah.
Well, that's a great answer. I couldn't have said it better myself. But the key takeaways are be true to self, do something you love, and pray about it. Love that from somebody as young as you, which says that you're definitely grounded in all the right ways. What was student life like here for you at UWI Cave Hill? Packing up and leaving the parents and coming here to Barbados. I know it's no easy feat.
Okay, all right. So basically, one thing that I really do appreciate about Barbados, I appreciated the fact I was able to interact with several nationalities. When I was considering even, let's say, potentially coming to Barbados, I did apply for our campus in Jamaica, the Mona campus. And I mean, I could have stayed at home. It would have been a nice experience. But I kind of want to spread my wings. I also want to follow in my mom's footsteps. I'm so proud of my mom. She's probably my biggest inspiration, and she studied at Caville because at a point in time, you had to leave Jamaica to study at Caville because our campuses were they basically forced regional integration. So if you wanted to study medicine, you had to study at Mona. If you wanted to study law, you had to study at Caville. And if you wanted to study engineering, you had to study at St. Augustine in Trinidad. So I knew that if I went to Caville, I would get the chance to interact with several nationalities. And I'm so proud of that because if I was in Jamaica, I would just be staying at home, coming to school and going back home because I just live 20 minutes from campus in Jamaica. But in BIM, I was living on Hall. I interacted with a lot of persons from Trinidad and Tobago, from St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course, a lot of Bajans. I fell in love with the fish cakes that you guys have. I do love the fish cakes. I don't really love anything else. I really did try the cuckoo and the flying fish. It just didn't grow on me. And I do like Bajan KFC, but Chefette really is not my thing. Um, but I still love the fact that I was able to get in contact with different nationalities and now I have friends for lifetimes. After Kville, I went to Antigua, then I went to Grenada, then I went to Trinidad. I basically did not pay for anything. I didn't pay for a hotel room. I didn't pay for food. Everywhere I went, I was basically being treated by the friends and family that I would have made in Barbados. And that's why Kville is just so amazing to me because you're having so much person from the Eastern Caribbean just coming together in one campus, and it's like a melting pot of cultures. And I guess being on my own, having to cook for yourself, clean for yourself, it's not easy. It's not easy, especially when you're used to your mom's cooking. There were so many times I missed ackee and saltfish because that's our national dish. But there are ackees in Barbados. Although that was another example, the culture shock. So I think what we call guinep is what you call ackees. So it was very hard for me to explain that Jamaican ackee is a bit different from what you call ackees, and there were other different nuanced stuff that I had to explain. That was a bit different in Jamaica, but that was the joy of being in Barbados, and also the beauty of Barbados as well. It was amazing. I got to witness Barbados becoming a republic. I got to see Rihanna, while she was walking across. So I can tell my kids, oh, I was in Barbados when it did become a republic. I was able to visit so many of the beaches. I love the West Coast, but I also do love the East Coast of Barbados. I love St. Lucie. St. Lucie is I love the natural beauty of St. Lucie, especially when I went to Animal Flower Cave. And of course, if I could go to the Gap every day, I would. Especially, I would have to go to Oystins, especially whenever there's another seafood event, because I just love Bajan seafood. I love how well you guys do fish. Oh my gosh, I love the fish. So lots of stuff in Barbados that I loved. That I was able to immerse in the culture, but not just Bajan culture, also the different cultures from the different Caribbean countries. And I wouldn't share that experience for the world, honestly.
All right, that's wonderful. It's really been good interacting with you, Timothy. I wish you the very best. And it wasn't lost on me that you mentioned elective politics. So maybe our next interview will be you entering the political realm in Jamaica. Who knows?
We'll see.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing with us this morning and continue on your way. Always wonderful to see young people aspiring to more. And what touches me most is how proud you are of your mom and how much she has inspired you to be the young man that you are today. So congratulations to her as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so Timothy Roper is a law student now at the Norman Manley Law School, and he's interested in public employment and administrative law and elective politics. So listen out for that name in future. All right, just about 29 minutes after 6 o'clock, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we are talking about technology is moving people, and we're moving to a cashless system on our buses. So coming up soon, you'll hear from Linda Holder of the Transport Board on how things are coming and how soon you just might be able to use your credit card or some other implement and just swipe and go. That's all next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why? I need.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you on this Monday, beautiful Monday. I said we're on the last march to Independence Day, so I certainly hope that you are getting in tune with your colors and all of that, and I'm trying to inspire you this morning to get out in your national colors as we go through this final week getting ready for the Independence Day parade and all of that wonderful stuff. We had an opportunity to go out this weekend to the open day at the PDF. We had a wonderful time. It was a great time to be able to see the armed forces and other services really come out and show precisely what they do. So we told you that we were going to have the Barbados Transport Board in this morning to talk a little bit about them launching the new cashless system for paying bus fares, and it's really designed to make traveling more convenient, more secure, and far more efficient for commuters. So we had to have Chief Operations Officer at the Transport Board, Linda Holder, come in to join us this morning. Of course, I'm happy to see that you're in your beautiful national colors as well.
But of course. Good morning, Tisha. I have a little frog in my throat, but these things happen. Morning, Barbados, and morning, Tisha.
All right, so talk to us. I think the last major change that we would have seen is years ago, for people who would remember, a move from having conductors, as they were called then, to just the driver. So then you had the system where you would come in and pay and make your way onto the bus. And now we're hearing about another change at the board.
Well, we strive very hard to make sure we continue to move forward. We have been around since 1955, and each time we try to make changes that makes travel for the Barbadian public easier and more convenient. So yes, we would have gone through some major challenges and some major changes over the years, and actually the most recent would have been the move to the electric buses. But for customer engagement, what we're trying to do now is to move to a more cashless society. We are actually launching that from December 1st, but we're going to be launching it in different stages. So we start first with our old age pensioners. We're going to start with the most vulnerable and the concessionary ridership, and we want to make sure that when we move to this new technology, they are not disadvantaged in any way. So for the old age pensioners, we start with them, and there is going to be seamless. If you already have your Trident ID card and it's been pinned, you board the bus, and everyone will be seeing on those buses the new modules that are mounted on the side, or there's a tablet by the driver. You tap and you go. If your Trident ID card has not been pinned, or you haven't gotten that card as yet, when you get on board the bus, you do as you were doing before, and you show that card to the driver, and he will then tap for you until we get everyone into the system.
All right, so I understand it's going to be a phased approach based on the fact that you said you're going to start with our pensioners first. Talk to us about how it will unfold.
So as we launch December 1st, as I said, when you board the buses and you're a pensioner, you will now be asked to tap on the module, and if you're not able to tap for whatever reason, then the driver will tap for you. The next category of rider that we will be dealing with will be the student population, and they will all be issued cards that allows them to do the same thing. Basically, what the system is going to do for the board is to help us be more efficient in that we'll be able to track our ridership better. We'll be able to pick up on our demographics for those areas that we're getting more persons boarding from, that right now we're working with manual intervention, which cannot be right sometimes. And then we'll also include the police, which is another category of concessionary ridership. And by the time we finish that in December, which is the busiest month of the year, so anything that can go wrong will go wrong then. We'll work with all of our kinks, and January 1, we'll be able to open it then to the regular traveling public, which would be the persons who have to then put money on the card and then board and tap.
Have we already worked out the logistics where our students are concerned to be able to get the card to them and ensure that they're able to ride?
We're going into the schools because we believe in taking it to where they are. It doesn't make sense trying to get everyone to come to us. We've already started with a number of schools where we've gone in, explained what we're seeking to do, giving them demos on how the system would work. So when the students are coming back in, we'll be able to issue the cards out to them then and there.
All right, very interesting stuff. Now, will they be able to travel if they don't have the card? Because we know for some students, we know how it is with students.
We know how
with
it
the best
is.
of intentions. Some students are going to lose those cards, and that might be one of the biggest worries for parents.
Yes, but if you recall, Some people might not be old enough to know this, but you remember when we had bus tickets?
I remember.
And each time you boarded, the driver was clipping that bus ticket. So it became a part of your, do you have your school bag? Do you have your belt? Do you have your book for homework? Do you have your bus ticket? And it got to that point that eventually everyone knew they had to have that bus ticket if they wanted to board the bus. But we will never turn back any student. As long as you're in school uniform and you're 18 years and under, you are, based on our laws, able to travel concessionary ridership. So we will continue to do that until it filters right through society and they understand this is the new way of traveling. So it's not going to disenfranchise anyone at all.
Okay, will the rollout be across the country or will you be testing in certain areas?
For the old age pensioners, which is, we're doing it in categories as opposed to locations. So we will roll out across the country in categories. So from December 1st, any old age pensioner boarding the bus, and in this case for us that is 65 and older, you board the bus, you show your card, any of the buses that are managed by the transport board, and this also includes a tap. So you'll board that bus and you will tap that vehicle and you'll go. So all our vehicles now have this mechanism on it, and again, this also includes our tap vehicles. Tap it and go.
All right, and when we say the tap vehicles, just to be clear for everyone, these are the vehicles that are look like PSV but are operated
by the transport board. So they all carry a little yellow triangle that has our logo on it, and they're part of what we call the transport augmentation program. So they operate out of our terminals on our routes under our same rules and regulations. And I will repeat that piece, under our same rules and regulations. So anything that we do on the big blue buses, we do on the other ones as well, as long as they're operated by the transport board.
Will there be any differences for travelers who are hopping on multiple buses to travel by way of the pensioners and the school children? I know for others you still have to pay for each leg of your journey, but for pensioners and school children specifically, will there be any differences for that?
No, they continue to travel concessionary, basically free for them. The government of Barbados facilitates that, and they just move from point to point as they continue to do. All this is doing for them is being able to allow us to track that demographic better. And it gives us more information that we can make more informed decisions.
Absolutely. And how can people reach out? I know people will have questions. How can they reach out to the board to be able to garner more information, or if they have questions, if they want to get the cards reissued, for example, how will that work out?
Well, we are working through our customer service segment right now. So let's start with email. It's btb.customerservice@barbados.gov.bb. If you're going to be calling us, it is 535-3572 or 73. And you can reach out to us at any time. Well, the telephone numbers will be between regular working hours, 8 to 4:30, but the email will be manned, and you can send us an email asking any questions you want to ask. We will also be posting information, apart from coming to people like you in the media. We'll be posting information on our website and on our social media platforms with the frequently asked questions that we are getting, so that anyone can go there and see what is happening. And that will go up from as early as this week.
Talk to us about the difference this capturing this information in real time will make to the board. I know you mentioned that you'll be able to make more informed decisions, but what are some of the ways that you're looking maybe in future to be able to make travel far more easier and more efficient, like you said is the mandate of this particular cashless system?
Well, one of the biggest issues we have at the board right now is the people. And this has been historical. You will even remember back in the day, people have shows that would say, "Where is the bus?" So we are going to be able to address those issues going forward. All of our buses are going to be equipped with GPS coming out of the same system. So we will be able to say to some person, "Well, I didn't get a bus." "No, ma'am, you did. It passed at this time. It was BM whatever." Or, "I'm so sorry, ma'am. We had a delay." And we'll be able to post that information more quickly, so people understand what is going on in the public transport system that is controlled by us. But in addition to that, at some point in time in the near future, the riders, the commuters themselves, will be able to go online, go on their cell phone. Everyone has a cell phone these days, and be able to see where that bus actually is. So that is the intention going forward, not just for us to be able to capture demographics, but for us to be able to interact with our commuters more efficiently and let them be also able to make more effective decisions. You do not want to be standing at a bus stop and saying, oh my God, it was supposed to be a 7 o'clock bus, there isn't any, and not be able to speak to any of us or to get that information. We're all moving. You just spent a whole segment talking about AI and what emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence is going to mean for us going forward. And we are also going to be part of that journey to make sure that our commuters can make decisions as well.
And what comes with that in a major way, particularly now we're seeing a big drive toward data security. I know when it came to moving toward the Trident ID cards, there was much discussion about security, data security, sharing private information, and the like. I suspect the conversation will come up again about people tapping their ID cards. So talk to us about what you're putting in place to ensure that data is safe, because it's important based on the climate that we're living in these days.
And that is the primary reason why we're doing it in stages. We want to make sure that we do not run into any data privacy issues. So starting with concessionary riders, these are people who already travel for free, don't have to give us any information to be able to do that. Because remember, a bus card anywhere in the world is like cash. So if we are not personalizing these cards, then that is literally cash you are walking with. And if you lose that card, you've lost cash. So in trying to make sure we address all of the possible issues, we're making sure we do this slowly and in stages. It took us a while to even get to this point because those sort of issues were coming up in the background. When I go and I put money on a card, what does that mean for me? Am I registering? And there's a segment of society that will be registered. But the bulk of persons will be able to just go, get a card, put money on it, and board that bus on tap. That way we eliminate some of the possible issues that will come with data security or data privacy concerns.
Absolutely. Does that include the students?
Yes.
Okay, so those cards for the students are just regular cards that in future you're able to use.
Think of it like a bus
and
ticket.
There's no attached information.
Think of it like a bus ticket.
Okay.
So there will be a security code on that card, but it's not going to be capturing information that is going to make us go into privacy issues. Remember, students are minors. So any information we want to capture from them, we have to go through not just the Ministry of Education, but also their parents. So before we start with anything like that, we have to make sure we have gone through every possible scenario. So maybe in the future, we will personalize them. But in the initial stages, it'll be a card that they can just tap and go.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like Barbadians to know as we get ready to move into the system next week? You said it's going to roll out
December
1.
December
my
1.
favorite month.
Yes.
So, is there anything else?
October.
Pardon?
Outside of October. December is my favorite month.
Outside of October. Yeah.
But yes, what we want them to do is not be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of the technology. As we start to roll out, ask us questions. If you are seeing something, you're saying, well, what does this mean for me? How does this work? Ask us questions. We will be around constantly encouraging persons. But as I said, starting in stages to make sure we work with all the kinks. Old age pensioners, particularly, one of the biggest questions that keep coming up is how will this affect their travel? They still travel for free. So I want to make sure we're all clear on that. If you board that bus and for whatever reason your card is not working, you still travel for free. The driver will just tap you in and it'll continue to go. One of the other questions that have come up as we continue to discuss it is, if I board the bus and my card doesn't have enough money on it, what happens? Well, the system will literally give you an alert and it will come up saying red, insufficient funds. Unfortunately, we are not at a stage where we can do part on the card and part in cash, so you will be forced to pay cash. But you can always go to one of our points. We're starting with the cashiers at the board themselves at our different terminals to top up, and you can always go there to verify how much is on the card if you're not sure for any reason. But generally going forward, the system will be able to tell you exactly what is happening on your card.
And to be able to top up, do you need to top up at your stations with cash, or will you be able to use your cards and so on as well?
Going forward, yes. Initially, we'll take in strictly cash, but each of our locations going forward will be able to do anything debit, credit, anything of that nature.
Okay, so initially when we start next
Initially-
week, you have to show it with cash.
But remember, next week when we start, we're not starting with the average traveler.
Okay.
Only old age pensioners. So you don't have to show up with anything. That allows us just to get our systems working in the background and make sure that what we have seen on paper and we've tested is working. So old age pensioner boards the bus, don't have to do anything. If you have your Trident ID card, you tap. If it is pinned, it will be registered on the system already, so you'll travel. If it isn't pinned and you tap and nothing happens, the driver will do it for you on his own module. And the module that you're tapping is about the size of a cell phone, you know, but the driver will have a tablet in front of him if for any reason that doesn't work for you.
All right, this is very interesting first stage, and I could see how this can move to make travel in Barbados far more efficient, if only because, as you mentioned, you'll be able to figure out which routes might have more travelers
and the
might have
times
a
that
greater
persons are
demand.
traveling.
Absolutely. So congratulations to the board. I look forward to the rollout of this first phase and to see how it will work, particularly with the little ones. I know
that will be interesting.
I know, yeah, I know the older Barbadians are always ready to go and they're accustomed to kind of showing their card and so on. But with the little ones with the card, it's kind of hearkened to exactly what you noted before with the bus ticket.
Bus ticket.
So we look forward to seeing how this can change what we do. Thank you so much for sharing with us. A happy Independence to you and everybody at the board.
Happy Independence to you as well, and to everyone here at CBC.
All right, so they'll be back to share more. Of course, if you have questions, you should definitely get online. And I know they're on socials as well to find out more about what's happening at the Barbados Transport Board with the cashless system coming on stream from December 1 with pensioners and school children. So be on the lookout. Time for another break here on Morning Barbados, but we have much more coming up. So do stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
94.7 FM with the kind compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics. Guardian General Insurance Limited and the Cut and Drive Network brings live coverage of Cricket West Indies Home Series October 31st to December 19th. Join the action, brought to you by Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics. Guardian General Insurance Limited. Live safe, live easy, and the Cut and Drive Network.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew. When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the community.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Yes. Okay, just about 8 minutes to go before 7 o'clock. I had to think about that for a minute. The time is going by so quickly. But our next segment is a very interesting one. And, you know, I can only start with the tagline, Bless a Baby This Christmas, which is what really caught my attention about this particular charity. So we have Camille Martindale joining us this morning, and Camille is co-founder and executive director of Unborn Justice. Good morning and welcome.
Welcome and good morning, Barbados.
It's wonderful to have you here with us, particularly talking about this work that you're doing to help women and babies. Talk to me about how it all got started.
Okay, so 10 years ago, I got together with two of my friends and we had a passion for helping women and helping women also to have another option when they were pregnant and not sure what to do. So we came together, we came up with a plan on how we could get this going. And the work of Unborn Justice started 8 months after that conversation in 2014.
What have you been able to do since then to be able to help women? Because the title Unborn Justice does not necessarily lead my mind to think of helping women.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we first started, we started just with providing tangible assistance to women who may have financial challenges in having their babies. I don't think we expected that Unborn Justice would be here today. So over the years, we developed various programs and services. We focus a lot on empowerment, so providing the education and information that they need to be able to be self-sufficient. We provide a range of classes, so we do pregnancy classes, parenting classes, self-development classes as well. We provide free baby items, groceries, and so on. We recently started a psychosocial support program. So we work with a clinical psychologist who provides individual and group counseling sessions to our clients as well. We work with a client advocate. So this is a person who works and walks along with the clients along their journey, helping them to set goals and so on. So our program is quite comprehensive, and over the years we've just added, as we went along.
What are some of the areas that you would say are kind of top of the table that you maybe didn't anticipate 10 years ago when you started, and based on your engagement, your interaction with women throughout the years, that you've kind of had to include as well?
Right, so definitely the psychosocial support program. So when we started, we were thinking, providing baby items, but then we realized that there's so many challenges that these parents face, and so if we wanted to really help them in a comprehensive way, we had to include various things. So the psychosocial support program is not something that we thought of originally, but we realized that there are clients who have, mental health challenges or who may be experiencing depression and things like that, and the psychologist is able then to work with them and to provide that, professional support from that standpoint.
All right, now today marks the start to the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and today specifically is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Have you found that your organization has had to tackle some of the challenges that women face in this regard that will be related specifically to gender, matters of gender?
Yeah. Yes, we did, and that is another area that we did not anticipate. So we have clients who experience domestic abuse, and we have had to, partner with other organizations to get assistance for them. So yes, that's something that we have experienced and continue to experience.
Now, you said you recently celebrated your 102nd baby in terms of long-term support. Talk to us about how it works in terms of maybe bringing moms, expectant moms on board, and then once they have baby, how does it work with your group?
So when mothers come to us and they decide that they will continue their pregnancy, they join our program. So our main program is called Earn What You Learn. And how it works is that they earn what we call mommy money, or daddy dollars, from attending the sessions on pregnancy, parenting, and self-development. And then they use that mommy money, or daddy dollars, in our baby store, where we have a range of baby items, diapers, wipes, clothing, and so on. So that program runs until the mommy joins, so say 8 weeks in her pregnancy, up until the baby's 2nd birthday. So we provide support for that time. We continue to provide the classes, the baby items, the groceries, and so on.
How are people able to become a part of this program?
So when people call, they will set an appointment, and we just go through an intake, and then we go from there.
How do you determine who kind of fits the bill?
So once you're pregnant and you are not sure what to do, then the program is for you. That would be considered a crisis pregnancy.
Okay.
Yes.
Delve into that a little bit more. When you say you're not sure what to do, talk to me a little bit more about that.
So a crisis pregnancy is one where the decision to continue is challenged by various factors. So this may be financial, this may be relationship challenges, health challenges, just emotionally unsure of what to do. So you are considering either terminating or continuing your pregnancy, then you will be considered to have a crisis pregnancy.
All right. In this instance, who are the professionals who are working along with these women? I would imagine younger women at this stage would be the vast majority of women who you might classify as having crisis pregnancies.
Right. So who within Mornin Justice would deal with them?
Or within, your span of professionals working with you, who are the people who would deal with the counseling of these people reaching out to you?
Right, so I do counseling. We have a client advocate, and then we also have our psychologists that we work with. So there's an organization called Heartbeat International, who we are affiliated with, and we go to them, we do training with them, so they train us in how to deal with these situations.
All right, now you're reaching out at Christmas time and you want to give people the opportunity to be able to support your organization so that you can in turn support some of these expectant mothers and then babies as well. How can we do this?
Okay, so our Christmas blessing, we do this every year, and there are 3 areas that we allow persons to partner with us. So there's our gift drive. So we have currently 26 babies that we are supporting through our programs. And this year we've chosen to expand that as well to other babies. And persons can call us, pull a number, and we give them information on the baby, the gender, the age, and a wish list that the mother or father provides. And then they're able to provide that gift for that baby. We also do food hampers. So we provide each of our families with food hampers for the Christmas season, and as I said, we're expanding it to other families this year as well. So persons can provide items they can provide a food hamper or items to go into a food hamper. And then finally, we have a diaper and gift drive where persons can provide diapers of all sizes and wipes.
How would you say your involvement with this organization as a young woman, 10 years on, has shaped the trajectory of your life, the way you think and how you kind of engage with people generally?
Right. Mornin Justice has definitely changed my life. I grew up a bit sheltered, so the things I'm exposed to now, I would not have been exposed to before. So it helped me not to judge persons because everyone has a story. And, you may see them and you may judge their actions, but you don't know what has led them to that. So it has helped me to be more open-minded, to be more empathetic as well, and to be less judgmental of people. And there's just so much need, when you work within a charity, you see that there's so much need, and it helps you to also be more willing to serve and to give to others.
Well, congratulations on the work that you're doing, particularly as young women as well. On this day where we start this 16-day journey to end gender-based violence, I think it's important for us to be able to highlight the work of other women who are working to help women.
Yes.
By what they do, by virtue of what they do. So congratulations to you and your team on still being around 10 years later, because you said initially you didn't think that you would still be here such a long time after.
Yes.
So, here's your opportunity to contribute to Mornin Justice. Where can we find you on socials?
We are on Instagram and Facebook at Mornin Justice. Our website is morninjustice.org.
All right, so make sure you check them out, and you can help make the difference in a baby's life this Christmas. So contribute however you can. Thank you so much, Camille. All right, and a special good morning to the entire team as well. Hey, time for another break here on Mornin Barbados, but do stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew. When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's Monday, November 25th. It's time for an update of the news at this time. Member of Parliament for the City, Corey Lane, says he's trusting the investigation process after public outcry over the death of Albert John. He was speaking at a vigil organized yesterday by John's family and friends in King Street in the city. John, who lived at Kensington New Road, died on November 3rd. But after a post-mortem, the Barbados Police Service announced that his death was from natural causes. At a press conference held last week, Commissioner Richard Boyce said the investigation is continuing into the matter as the case is still open. Mr. Lane told reporters he's hoping for peace not only for the community, but for Lane's family as well.
Everybody in Barbados deserves law, order, and justice, regardless of what we think. And that is why there is a process. I am one that have to let the process play out. I am all like everybody calling for a fair investigation, transparency, and accountability. And at the end of the day, that he can have justice, his family can have justice, and really, truly, we have a community.
Some of John's colleagues were at the vigil and they spoke to the kind of funny person they knew him to be.
I've known Albert for about 20-something years, for 20-something? I've known for about 20-something years. All right? And he was a caring person, giving person. He was a caring person. Fun, lots of jokes, and a giving person. As long as he had, you could get hit.
Albert was a good guy. Albert was all right. He was very funny. A nuisance sometimes, but I'm going to miss him, and my condolences to the family.
The agency tasked with conducting research on crime in Barbados is joining forces with more entities to ensure pertinent data is collected. The revelation comes as several young people involved in an anti-crime program are recognized for their efforts. Rochelle Agard tells that story.
Staff in the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit are now working with officials at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital to collect data. Director of the unit, Cheryl Willoughby, made the disclosure at an appreciation and award ceremony to honor the outstanding contributions of the youth in the fields of criminal justice and peace building. Ms. Willoughby says the unit collaborates with various institutions when conducting research and is hoping to include the Ministry of Education.
Now we are gathering data based on the persons who present an accident and emergency with gunshot-related injuries as well as knife injuries, stabbings, etc. So we are doing a lot. We go into the prison as well, where we do qualitative research, and we hear from the horse's mouth at least what are some of the things that would have contributed to your criminal behavior and what are some of the things that you were hoping to achieve so that we are able to be targeted in our prevention effort.
Meanwhile, facilitator of the Build Your Own Door initiative, Aishaka McNeil, says the program has been a resounding success. He says the 8-week program was conceptualized by the National Peace Program to empower at-risk and vulnerable young people across local communities. And Mr. McNeil urges all to continue providing similar programs geared towards the youth.
As it is written in the Bible, can anything good come out of Nazareth? I ask you, can anything amazing come out of our communities in Barbados? My answer is a resounding yes. Amidst the violence and serious crimes that we hear about daily, there are many young people who can be swayed towards a positive path. Determination and enthusiasm displayed by the 7 delegates of the Build Your Own Door initiative are a beacon of hope for many more.
The 7 participants explored one of the pathways of the program and produced their own musical collaboration. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
2 schools will reopen today following reports of an invasion of bees. This has been confirmed by communications consultant with the Ministry of Education, Gaynell Marshall. Last week, the educational institutions were closed following unusual bee activity, with a resolution to be sought. She says Springer Memorial School and A. DaCosta Edwards Primary School will be opened for classes.
The beekeeper has confirmed that the hives were removed from A. DaCosta Edwards and that the hive on the property outside of Springer, but that was near to Springer, that hive has also been removed. So both schools reopen tomorrow.
Now we're getting early reports here on the morning report that a tree has fallen in the area of Dunlow Lane and it's making the access road to the St. Gabriel's School somewhat impassable. We're going to try to confirm more on that situation as information comes to hand, but be mindful as you traverse that area. I know for those of you who will be taking your children to school at the St. Gabriel's School, it might make it a little more difficult to be able to get them there. But if you can reach out to school officials to find out more, that's what you should do. And for those of you who are already in that area, we'd urge you to be cautious. Again, as more information comes to hand, we most certainly will share. Now, as the world marks International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women today, Barbados Ambassador to the OAS is reporting that the scourge has intensified in different settings. Among the areas highlighted by Ambassador Vic Fernandes are workplace and online spaces. He says gender-based violence has also been exacerbated by conflict and climate change. His comments came during a special meeting of the Permanent Council of the OAS to observe the International Day setup.
Statistics on domestic violence are startling, with many incidents remaining unreported due to fear, social stigma, and a general unawareness of the support mechanisms which may exist. The silence that cloaks this issue only serves to deepen the crisis, isolating victims further. By raising our voices and collectively holding a light on these issues, we help to break the silence. Speaking up not only amplifies the voices of the victims, but also challenges the societal norms enabling this violence.
All right, as we look at sports, the terrific 2 for the final of the Prime Minister's Cup football competition are Britain's Hill FC and UWI Blackbirds. Now they advanced to next weekend's grand finale from last night's semi-final that took place over at Friendship. In the first semi, Britain's Hill defeated Kickstart Rush 2-0 from 2 first-half goals, Ray Snag in the 23rd and Sharon Hope in the 28th. Then in the second semi, Blackbirds ousted Ellerton FC, that's Ellerton FC, 3-1. Niall Reid-Stevens netted a brace in the 35th and 80th minutes, and Romario Drake scored in the 49th, while for Ellerton, Rashad Jules slotted home in the 89th. The third place playoff between Kickstart and Ellerton will be on Wednesday, November 27th, live from 8:30 right here on CBC TV 8. The first place playoff for the $100,000 grand prize will be between Britain's Hill and UE on Saturday, November 30th. It's also going to be live on CBC TV8 from 8:30. Make sure you are tuned in. Now, Bangladesh will resume the fourth day of the first test, trailing West Indies on first innings by 181 runs in Antigua. Yesterday at the Viv Richards Stadium, Bangladesh reached 269 for 9 at stumps in reply to the Windies' 450 for 9 declared. Alzari Joseph has 3 for 69, while Justin Graves and Jaden Seals picked up 2 wickets apiece. Jakar Ali made 53 and Mohanul Haq were all an even 50. We have a few of the highlights. All right, so that's it. Make sure you tune in because play resumes at 10 o'clock this morning, live on MCTV's ESPN channel 308. You can also tune into 94.7 FM for a further update. It will be coming live on that channel as well. Remember, we have a full package of news coming your way here on CBC TV8 at 12 noon, or if you're on the move, tune into our radio stations 100.7 FM, 98.1 The One, and 94.7 FM for the CBC News World at 1, which comes at 1 p.m. It's time for another break here on Morning Barbados, so stay with us. There's lots more to come.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I'm great.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't
morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning.
to you.
All right, so it's time for us to have a very serious and a very interesting discussion. And we started this discussion some months ago, so it's wonderful to have some people joining us again this morning to talk about a day that serves as an urgent reminder of the need for global awareness and action in the pursuit of not only justice but peace. So joining us this morning to talk a little bit more about the International Day for Solidarity with Palestine, we have Lalu Hanuman, who is Secretary of the Caribbean Against Apartheid in Palestine. Good to have you back with us.
Greetings. Good morning.
And also joining us today, we have Ras Martin of the Rastafarian community here in Barbados.
Yep, thanks. Nice to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. I don't often have representatives of your community kind of stepping forward and sharing with us in this way. So I look forward to an interesting and robust discussion with your involvement as well. And we also have Feroza Kotwala, who's Secretary of the Barbados Association of Muslim Ladies.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
All right, absolutely. So again, welcome back, Mr. Hanuman. And I'd like to start with you on the significance of that day, which is coming up on November 29th. Why is it important for the rest of the world, for us particularly in this Caribbean community in Barbados, to be cognizant of what's happening in Palestine?
Well, given our history of enslavement of one sort or another, chattel slavery or indentured slavery, I think we ought to be in the vanguard of the struggle globally for human rights. And that's why I think it's of significance to us, given our history.
Absolutely. Now, for you, Feroza, in light of the current, what's been called now a humanitarian crisis in Gaza, how does the Barbados Association of Muslim Ladies view your role in particular and the role of the wider community generally in kind of fostering awareness in solidarity with the message that it just isn't right what's going on?
Well, we have been actively involved in raising awareness of what is happening in Palestine, and our particular role is with regards to what's happening to the women and children. And on this day, like you had mentioned in the news earlier, starts the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence against women. And if you look and research and learn about the type of violence and horrendous acts of rape and sexual violence that has been taking place against Palestinian women and children and the men as well, over not just since October 7th, but for the last 76 years of Israeli occupation in the land of Palestine. So when we start these 16 days of activism, we want persons who are actively involved in this venture for the next 16 days to recognize that these women have been facing grievous acts and horrendous acts of sexual violence, rape, and even being terrorized while they go about their normal and daily activities and routines. So that's our role. Our organization is a ladies' organization, but we do not obviously neglect or oversee the fact that it also affects the Palestinian men.
Absolutely, and it's wonderful to see your organization in particular stepping forward and lending your voice to this conversation as well. For you, Ras Martin, I know that Lalu kind of spoke about some of the historical context, but from your perspective as a Rastafarian, as a member and a representative of the community, what are some of the historical connections that you see between the struggles of the Palestinian people and maybe the fight against what some might call systemic oppression, or it's been deemed in other terms of late? What are some of the historical connections that you see there?
Morning, give thanks.
Good morning.
First, I would like to start with a quotation from His Imperial Majesty. The inaction of those who could have acted, the indifference of those who should have known better, the silence of the voices of justice, where it matters most, is what causes evil to triumph. That's the words of His Imperial Majesty at the League of Nations in 1936. I say that because 1936, what is happening in the world now, is equivalent. The oppression that is taking place is so relevant and is so heavy that if you don't say something and get involved, you allow the cruelty and the brutality that's taking place in Palestine to continue. And that is something that within the Rastafari community, we ourselves experience harassment, you know, from the inception. I mean, things have eased a lot now. So any form of oppression, any part of the world, should be spoken against and, you know, made to be highlighted so that you can get justice for people.
All right, now, Lalu, I know we've heard so many different people weigh in from so many different quarters. You know, in recent times, though, we've heard much about something called the Balfour Declaration. What part does, first of all, tell us what it is, you know, about the exodus of this declaration, and what role do you think that plays in what's happening right now?
Well, we all hear about colonialism and the excesses and the ongoing legacy of colonialism globally, and this is one of them. The Balfour Declaration was made by a former Prime Minister of Britain when he was then Foreign Secretary back in 1917, the 2nd of November 1917. During the First World War, in the Kaiser's army, that's the German army, in the First World War, there was a Jewish regiment, and the British wanted to sow disaffection within the Kaiser's army. So they actually offered the Jews at that time a homeland in Palestine, which was part of the Ottoman Empire. Of course, the Ottoman Empire was on the other side with Germany. They were allies of Germany. And the British were trying to create disunity within the Kaiser's army by creating a conflict of interest. As I said, there was this Jewish regiment. So they offered a homeland in somebody else's land to the Jews, and that's the Balfour Declaration in effect.
How do you think, what role do you think that plays into all that we're seeing playing out at this point in time?
Well, it's an ongoing legacy. Since then, there's been lots of settlement in Palestine from Jews globally, particularly during the Second World War because of what happened in Germany. And the Palestinians have been marginalized and subjected to great oppression. Since then, there was the Declaration of Independence by Israel in 1948, which followed the partition plan that the United Nations came up with on the 29th of November 1947. That is why particularly November is a crucial month for Palestine, not only the Balfour Declaration anniversary, but also the partition anniversary. And we see what's playing out currently in Gaza with some 44,000 people murdered, civilians, as well as starvation, lack of water, lack of medication, and then recently the International Criminal Court now has issued arrest warrants for 2 Israeli leaders, the former Defense Minister Gallant and the current Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Absolutely, and that definitely is playing out in the media in a major way. So, you know, give us an overview of what you're hoping for. Provide an overview of the Caribbean Against Apartheid in Palestine's objectives as we look toward this significant day on the 29th. And, you know, in the full view of the world, what's happening in Palestine at this time? What are your objectives in kind of getting out here and sharing this information?
I believe the first objective is in light of what the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honourable Mia Mottley, said, in that this is the first time that a genocide and an ethnic cleansing has been fully being televised in all living colour. And we're getting to see it's no longer something that you read in history books or something that we will learn about 5 years later or 10 years later and be horrified that this took place. This is happening right here in living colour. It comes directly into our homes, on our phones, on our television, on our different screens that we have. So obviously we want persons to understand fully the effect and the magnitude of what is taking place and not be silent about it, to lend our voices as Barbadians. Yes, we are a small nation, but we have learned over the years through our actions and what we stand for, especially what we stood for when South Africa was going through apartheid, that we, although we are small, our voices can be loud, and we can be strong, we can be vocal, and obviously then lend support to the Palestinian cause and understand that this is something far away, but it is something that touches our very humanity, the values that we uphold as Barbadians, as people, as human beings. And also, we cut our ties with Israel. Obviously, Israel has lent support to Barbados over the years, but do you want to get support and assistance from someone who's committing genocide against another people, a people who had their own life, their own culture, their own livelihood? That land was stolen from them. Do you want to have ties with that type of a country or a nation? So those are the types of things that we are looking for, and I'm sure that Lalu can speak to it from a more legal perspective. But for me and our association, we are looking at it from a humanitarian perspective. The fact that it touches us as human beings, and we recognize that it is wrong, that it is something severely wrong, and we need to stand up and lend our voices in support of the Palestinian people.
All right, from you, Ross Martin, what would be your message for Barbadians generally, but I think young people specifically, about why they should kind of lend their voices regarding advocating for justice and equality at this stage in our livelihoods?
I will freely speak on is that if you look at what is happening in Ukraine, that is a war. That is a struggle between two people that have arms and have tanks. Both sides have proper weapons to fight one another. In Palestine, in Gaza, what you have there is a total slaughter, a total murder of people. It is equivalent in our colonial past, like the Mau Mau fighting against the British in Kenya. It is like, Nyabingi against the Germans, the Dutch, and the rest in Uganda and that area. It is like Nelson Mandela with the ANC. When you got a nation that is being supported by superpowers, totally unfair and slaughtering people in front of your eyes, you can't do but otherwise than criticize it and say it's wrong. It's totally, totally wrong. The slaughter of what is happening there is unheard of in my lifetime. I mean, I love history, and the only thing that come close leading up to that was the Italian invasion of Ethiopia. And that led into the Second World War. And the way how things heading right now between Palestine and the Jews. And by the way, when I say Jews, I'm not a Bible scholar, but some part of the Bible I remember reading that they say, woe unto them that call themselves Jews, but are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. And their behavior, in my eyes, as Rastafari, could only come from the synagogue of Satan. The things they are doing is so cruel that it is frightening. I don't even like to watch TV now when it comes to the news. It's unheard of. So I would advise, let me share something too. Something that disturbed me deeply is that I went to 2 marches or 2 things with my brothers on this cause from Palestine. And you know that the Christian churches in Barbados has not come out as a collective and add their voice for the brutality that is taking place. I asked a pastor that lived up my side, and he started to give me a story about God's chosen people. If them is God's chosen people, then who choose me as Rastafari? Who choose the sister, the brother? It is the doctrine, the whole thing is just crazy. You are not speaking out against a crime against humanity, a genocide, because you can tell me of a doctrine that somebody put together over 2,000 years ago. It's unheard of.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's the gray area for a lot of people, the fact that in the name of religion, people have committed gross atrocities throughout the years. Let's kind of double back to the legal side of things with you, Lalu. And you mentioned the recent actions by the International criminal court, including the arrest warrants that have been issued. What implications do you think this will have for international law generally and accountability specifically for that international court to issue these warrants? But there are not a lot of people who seem to feel like anything will come of it.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of countries pay lip service to international law. And as a result, I mean, we are actually undermining international law. You know, there's lots of talk about, as Ras Martin mentioned, the situation in the Ukraine. But you can argue that because of America's consistent vetoing of Israel's horrendous war crimes and so on, whenever there's a resolution being passed in the Security Council, they've actually destroyed international law. And that is why people like Putin now can quite happily go and invade the Ukraine, because international law has become a farce. There's an old Sanskrit law called the Laws of Manu, which is from India, which says, justice being protected shall protect the protector. Justice being destroyed shall destroy the destroyer. And this is what we're seeing being played out now. International law has been thrown in the trash bin of history in reality, particularly by America, with its constant vetoing of UN resolutions. Just recently this week, for example, which Algeria and Guyana had put forward, they have undermined international law. International law now is toothless and useless. But hopefully, because of the arrest warrants, some countries might consider arresting Netanyahu and Gallant, who are the two people named in the arrest warrants. There's a Hamas leader as well, Mohammed Diaf, but he's now, I understand, been assassinated by the Israelis, so he's no longer around. But international law needs to be respected. If it isn't respected, we're all under threat in terms of invasion, in terms of lack of sovereignty, in terms of the future. And unfortunately, America is the main culprit in undermining international law.
All right, we're happy that we could allow you to come in and share your views and certainly share more information as we move toward this day that is a UN organized observance coming up on the 29th, which is Friday. So what are your expectations for that day? Are there any specific events that will be happening?
We are not organizing anything as such in Barbados. Over the course of the last year, we've organized a series of events. As Ras Martin mentioned, we had demonstrations, protests, pickets, and so on. What we would like to come out of it is the Barbadian government to sever diplomatic relations with a state that our Prime Minister said is committing a televised genocide, and I can't see how we can maintain diplomatic relations with such an entity. And also that the Attorney General's office here joins with South Africa in the International Court of Justice on the South African case against Israel to do with genocide. 14 countries globally have joined with South Africa. We would hope that Barbados and the CARICOM countries in general would do likewise. We have taken a clear position, as Feroz has pointed out, in the past regarding apartheid in South Africa. We were in the vanguard with sports boycotts, diplomatic boycotts, trade boycotts. At the very least, we should support the same reality that exists currently on the ground in Palestine, where there's apartheid, which Mandela has said exists, which Desmond Tutu has said exists. We need to take a firm stand, sever diplomatic relations with the Zionist state, and also initiate legal action along with South Africa in the International Court of Justice to do with the current genocide taking place there.
All right, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us, kind of bringing us a little closer away from what we see in the headline news. Coming out of certain places and from certain institutions, which gives a different spin to what's happening. But I think the Barbados government has, through Prime Minister Motley, said in no uncertain terms where Barbados stands on this. So we look forward to further discussion on it as well. As you know, in the UN presentation just a matter of weeks ago, PM Motley spoke just after Benjamin Netanyahu, and she said clearly and decisively that Barbados does not support or will not be a part of any such genocide as it has indeed been called. So thank you for coming in and sharing with us. Wonderful to hear from the communities as well. And we look forward to hearing much more about it as we continue discussions right here on Morning Barbados and indeed across the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. We're going to take another brief break here. When we come back, we're talking about a method of teaching that just might be the type of teaching that we need to move our boys specifically to another level. Do stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
94.7 FM with the kind compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics. Guardian General Insurance Limited and the Cut and Drive Network brings live coverage of Cricket West Indies Home Series October 31st to December 19th. Join the action, brought to you by Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics. Guardian General Insurance Limited. Live safe, live easy, and the Cut and Drive Network.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. And together we will travel the world.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it?
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So just about 19 minutes now before 8 o'clock, and this is one of these discussions that I really, really look forward to, and I certainly hope it will kind of spark something in you to be able to have these discussions within your homes, in your communities, in schools, because it's very, very important. And we're kind of talking in our little silos and on the sidelines about what's happening with our students, particularly our boys. So we want to have a conversation head on this morning with a teacher who's teaching a lot of boys, not exclusively, but that's a major part of what he does. And we have 3 young men joining us this morning as well from the St. Leonard's Boys School, the only boys school on island. So we have with us Giovanni Simpson Rowe. Good morning, Master Rowe. Master Simpson Rowe, good to have you with us.
All right.
Also with us is Elijah Jacob.
Hi.
Good to have you with us, Elijah.
Thank you.
And Shay Green.
Good morning.
Good morning. And they're joined by Mr. Andrew Loki, who is a teacher of music, French and Spanish at the St. Leonard's Boys School. So good to have you as well with us, Mr. Loki.
Thanks for having us, for sure.
Certainly good to have the boys here showcasing their school colors.
Yes.
And here to talk to us a little bit about the work that you're doing. Now, for the past 30 years, you've been a teacher. I've been trying not to look at the face and try to make an assessment.
It's the water. It's a good water, good exercise.
Good Bajan water.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk to me first of all about your views on teaching. These days we hear so much about teachers, and people are saying behind the scenes, teachers are not what they used to be. They don't have their heart in it. A lot of them are not necessarily reaching into students or pouring into students like we've seen of teachers of the past. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us here.
Absolutely.
I interact with many teachers. There are some at the school which I teach, St. Leonard's Boys School, who, for me, do go beyond. And sometimes they are not recognized because they're doing it in the kind of the background kind of thing. I don't know that I am in total agreement with the statement that is put out there. I think for me, what I would say is that some teachers are have a bit of trepidation when it comes to how they go about things nowadays. There's a lot that has been that's demanded of teachers, but there are some things that have been taken away from teachers in terms of how they can control class and what's not. Some of us are brave. I'm one of those. And there are others at St. Leonard's School and across this country, and I really, really want to big up teachers because I know of many who are not only pulling their pockets, but they are giving of themselves. They are really trying to make things happen. There is some level of truth to this statement because I think teachers are kind of born, if for lack of a better word, nurses, people. When you are a teacher, you are a person who is going to influence a life either positively or negatively. And I mean, I guess in all jobs that could be the case, but with teachers specifically, you are literally raising the children's, the country's children. And if we are not, I say often to them that I would prefer to influence you than to control you. And by influencing you, it means that I have to live a certain way, I have to dress a certain way, I have to come to school early, I have to set examples that you can follow. And I think part of the problem we have in the world, generally speaking, is that people try to control each other as opposed to try to influence. How do I see teaching at this point? I feel some people are they don't necessarily want to do stuff because they figure that, it's going to be cut, it's going to come under a lot of scrutiny, either by parents or by this body or by that body. And therefore, part of the reason why we are here today, and part of the reason why what I wanted to share, because at the end of the day, all of what we're going to talk about is past. We are hoping that what we said this morning can somehow influence children and teachers and adults to go beyond just the norm. Because indeed, some of the things that we do, I guess, that results in success are not necessarily most normal. There's some unorthodox things. All right, so let me just say that a third party reached out and asked us to feature what you're doing with Mr.
Now these gentlemen here were part of class 2D, and now you're part
1D and 2D, yeah. So
1D, 2D, now you're part of class 3D. And I was told that these young men have achieved exceptional results. And by exceptional, we mean that above average of what we have seen
For sure.
of their peers. And it was attributed to much of it to what you have been able to do with them. So from your perspective, how have you approached teaching these young men this influence that you talked about that you think has made such a difference in their grades?
Well, I would obviously like them to say more about this, but what I would say is this. I coming up in the car just a moment ago, I was talking to my friend Alison, I was saying to her that over the years, I don't think I've ever been afraid to try and to be myself and to do, what I can to make sure that my students do well. When I met these young men, I said to their parents, when you leave here, when they come to this school, they're literally my children. That's the first thing. So the first thing that is in my mind, even though I might not have known their names or what the case to be, automatically they became my children. And because they were my children, the same kind of effort and the same kind of whatever that I would pour into my children, I would pour into them. Which meant that, and then the second, and I think one of the most important things is that I don't think that I have the right to it, but I kind of give the children in my class a license to be the best they possibly can.
All right, so let's hear from the children.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you, Giovanni. What difference is it for you within your classes that you've come through? What difference has it made to you that you think has made a difference to your grades?
Well, for example, like I was in 1A before I came into 2D. When I was in 1A, the teacher was kind of nonchalant with how he behaves, basically. And when I came into 2D, I didn't get that nonchalant kind of action, didn't get that non-caring kind of action from Mr. Loki. And now...
So it made a difference in the way that you approach work and everything. What about you, Shay? Your thoughts on the difference in maybe Mr. Loki's approach generally?
Well, let me go back to primary school. In primary school, the teachers were on and off about how they would teach their class. And yes, the class was bigger. The class would normally be like 35 students. I know it's like 30 or 20. But the way that he teaches is almost like, how do I put this? It's almost like there's a purpose, and there's such a purpose that you almost don't expect it, right? And
you feel that's what's made such a big difference with you. For you, Shay, your thoughts on the difference it has made with you.
Elijah,
Elijah,
Yeah, the difference is really in primary school, again, the teachers weren't really like as purposeful as Mr. Loki is. So when I came into secondary school and I had a perfect environment to really showcase my work, I just took the opportunity and it flew.
All right, good stuff. But listen, we're hearing it from them people, and sometimes people don't want to have hard conversations, even if it is not intentional. I think we're at the stage where we really need to listen to our young people and maybe take a look at how we talk about them and not talk to them. Because I hear so many people referring to young people as the lost generation, and there's so much negativity happening that it's easy to push that. And here you have 3 young men in front of you who are saying that they feel like because of the type of approach you've taken to showing your supportive nature, that is making a difference to the way they approach their work.
But just this morning, as we were coming here, we were hearing about the efforts, and I do applaud them, to do things to reach those at-risk students. But this morning, I was very, very adamant that when I did get an opportunity to speak, that I would also say that there are students here throughout this country, these are only about 3, across this country who are doing exceptionally well, and I hope that they're given a lot more platforms to not only speak about their academic prowess, but also to speak about how they get there, how their parents have structured and what's not, because best practices are necessary. We cannot continue to say, okay, well, they're doing well and kind of ignore it. We have to celebrate it. And that is part of the reason why this morning I wanted, these are the 3 young men who would have excelled in the school. They got the highest percentage in the school. And I wanted to celebrate them, and I wanted to, say a big congratulations to their teachers, to Pastor Peters from the Power in the Blood, who comes on Thursdays and does Bible study, Mr. Murray, who comes and what's not. So this is a team, parents who, when I ask for anything really, within reason, they show up and they support.
They chip in and they're part of
We
it.
celebrate birthdays together. We celebrate Christmas together. We celebrate a lot of things. And I must say before we wrap up that one of the unorthodox things that we do, when we are preparing for exams, sometimes we go to the beach. Sometimes they're up in a tree. Sometimes our former principal, Mr. Corbin is up in a tree, for example, and he is helping them. And I really must thank Peter Corbin for the efforts that he's made with this class. And I mean, there are so many, Miss Carrington, who would have received distinctions in City and Guild for maths and what's not. There are so many persons who, because they are bought into the whole idea of boys can achieve and they can excel. Because of that, you see, a part of it is a belief. Perception becomes reality.
Absolutely.
And the reality and a lot what they are seeing every day. Are we perfect? We're not.
Absolutely. Listen, we have to leave the conversation here, but this is by no means an exhaustive conversation. I look forward to engaging with you in your environment.
For sure.
I would love to come in and see you in class and talk to you. And there are a number of things that Mr. Loki said that I think are important. When our boys achieve, I think it's important that we also know that it's by no means a be and end all or perfection. And they still can make mistakes. And that's important to know. But it's good to celebrate you guys this morning. And indeed, all the boys who are excelling at the St. Leonard's Boys School as well. Yeah, thank you, and thanks to the teachers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's wonderful having them here. Hey, coming back, we have a strong message coming your way from the Central Bank of Barbados. Do stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
94.7 FM with the kind compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics, Guardian General Insurance Limited, and the Cut and Drive Network brings live coverage of Cricket West Indies Home Series October 31st to December 19th. Join the action, brought to you by Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics, Guardian General Insurance Limited. Live safe, live easy, and the Cut and Drive Network.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Now we have a message for you from the Central Bank of Barbados, and as part of the Money Smart digital financial literacy program launched in March, the focus has been on the topic of financial fraud.
Central Bank encourages you to have money management and comprehend how to make investments and secure your finances.
Financial fraud is becoming increasingly common, targeting individuals from all walks of life. Welcome to the first program in a 3-part series by the Central Bank of Barbados on identifying and avoiding these dangerous schemes. In today's episode, we're joined by Inspector Dudley Walrond of the Barbados Police Service's Financial Crimes Investigation Unit. He will highlight the critical warning signs of an investment scam. Let's listen in as Inspector Walrond shares some important insights. Inspector Walrond, what are the most common investment scams you encounter?
We have seen some investment scams as it relates to Bitcoin and maybe 1 or 2 high-risk investments, but we mainly see things like are opportunistic, where persons are contacted to say that they are the grand prize winner of a lottery and they need to send some money in order to collect this lottery. Or sometimes the person is contacted to say that, I have had an inheritance and I need some money to get this inheritance sent into Barbados, and if you assist me with some money, I would reimburse you tenfold sometimes. Or we find that if it is the elderly, it is when someone would contact them and say that they have a container at the port and that they're overseas. They're either a friend or a family member, and they just want some money to give to the broker to have that container cleared. And when they come to the island, they would reimburse that person.
Is there a particular region or country from which these scams originate?
We've seen some of these scams originate from Nigeria, but we've also seen some where persons were asked to remit the money to the US of A. But with persons being able to mask their location now online, it's very difficult to distinguish exactly to say that this scam is from a particular region.
So what are the warning signs of an investment scam?
The warning signs of an investment scam would be unusually high returns in a short space of time, like someone asking you to invest $1,000 and within a year that $1,000 can go to $14,000, or you invest $10,000 and then within a year it goes up to $140,000. And if you look at that, that is a return of about 1,400%, and that is really not realistic.
How can individuals differentiate between a legitimate investment opportunity and a scam?
Individuals can differentiate between a legitimate financial investment by doing a little due diligence, where they actually look into the area where they're planning to invest and just don't rely on the information that has been presented to them, especially if you're looking at the information within the email. If you look at the email or the information and it relates to other email addresses and telephone numbers, these email addresses and telephone numbers would be controlled by the scammers, so they will obviously give the information that would encourage you to invest. But I would say do your own searches online, make sure that they're from reputable sites, and that you also ask someone in the field that would know about what a genuine investment would look like and what returns are likely.
Thank you, Inspector, for providing your expertise. And thank you for tuning in to this important discussion with Inspector Dudley Walrond from the Financial Crimes Investigation Unit. We hope you found today's insights valuable. Remember, staying informed is your best defense against investment scams. Join us next time for part 2 in this series, where we'll discuss an emerging scam in Barbados and the wider region. This series is brought to you by MoneySmart, the Central Bank of Barbados' digital financial literacy program.
So over the course of the next 2 weeks, we'll be continuing with the Central Bank to tell you how you can spot these schemes and scams. That's it from us for today. Thanks for Barbados. We'll see you live in the morning at 6. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.